Okay, welcome back to the Caribou Media Outdoors podcast. With me tonight is Cody Griffin from Easton Technical Products. How are you?
I'm well, man. How are you doing today?
Good, good. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I've probably been bugging the crap out of you on your phone.
Oh no, dude, you're good. We've had a busy schedule this year. We've had some new products we've
Oh, I
launched, and
bet.
new events we're attending and stuff like that, and just trying to get everything booked.
Yeah,
So it's been busy. It's been a good year
busy,
so far.
busy guy. I was thinking back to when I first saw you, and it was when you were working here,
Oh,
Extreme Outfitters. Hey, you were
Whooping ground, man.
popping up
Oh
on
yeah,
the YouTube videos and stuff. How long were
yeah.
you working with Extreme Outfitters
Check
for?
that out.
Hey,
Yeah, yeah,
nice.
man. My first day there was January 2nd, 2019.
No
With
way.
Extreme. Yep, day after New Year's.
How did it kind of transition you to where you are now?
So it actually all started off at another store in the area, and I was there for I think a little over a year, maybe a year and a half, from what I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just hit my glass ceiling like a lot of people do in places, and I was fortunate enough to have met Zach. He's the store manager, and he's the big wig, one of the big wigs there. Him and his mom are that's really their life. What I like to say, and I met him in the gym years ago, or years prior to even getting to Extreme, and he was in the powerlifting side of things, and I was just a gym goer. Thought about wanting to be a bodybuilder one day, just lifting at night. It's where we kind of met each other, and um, couple years go by, not even a couple years, couple months go by, and he comes into the location I was working at or prior to getting to Extreme, and I didn't know he was into archery. I knew he had slimmed down a lot from the powerlifting side of things and was becoming on a different kind of functional fitness lifestyle, and we kind of started talking again, and a few months after that interaction, he's wanting to do some things, differently at Extreme and bring on the archery side and the hunting side, and like I said, I wanted to do archery a little bit differently. And one thing about Zach is he's very passionate about whatever he gets involved in, and I think I have a lot of that myself. And archery is just always one of those things that I've always been passionate about, and it made sense. We wanted to do tournaments, just completely revamp archery in the area as far as igniting passion again. Bow hunting. But that's kind of where that stemmed from, and I was very lucky enough that they let me come in and I'm not necessarily be a partner or anything like that, but like let's do this kind of thing together. Let's get the right brands in here and let's talk about what we can do, what we need to learn together more than anything. So, and then Zach and Mary, and they're extremely business smart. With brands they partner with the marketing side of things, with the retail storefront, and with the website they have. They're very I call them a prominent figure in the archery industry. Now, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people that shop at Extreme Outfitters and know those guys. It's wild. I've been gone from there, almost 2 years now, and there's people that recognize me from there,
Yeah,
it says a lot about their brand, more than anything, which is really crazy, and the reach that they have. So, but yeah, that's kind of how I got my start in this gig. And, I think their brand, Extreme Outfitters, really propelled me forward, is what it was, and the
yeah.
people I met.
I'm from Ontario, Canada, and we went down. A bunch of us went down to Pennsylvania Tack,
Oh yeah,
and I
I'll be
saw
there
them.
this year. We're gonna have a good time,
Hey,
dude.
all right.
I'm coming there this
I'll
year.
come.
Yep.
I'll come hang out in the booth. I
Nice.
uh,
Yeah.
I saw them there for the first time. I was like, hey, it was awesome. It's almost like going to those things. It's like you feel like you're meeting all your friends, even if it's for the first
Yeah.
time, right? Like
Yep.
it's
100%.
you run into everybody. I ran into Joe and Stu down there,
Yeah. Yep.
and it's
Yep.
just like it's so cool. I just love it. I'd be going every year, so
It's good, man.
that's
No,
awesome.
they're good folks too, Joe and Stuart. I like those guys a lot. They're very hungry, for partnership and the exposure, and they're growing their own brand. They're media guys, so they're doing a good job on what they do.
Yeah, yeah, definitely awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to get Zach on here too. We've been going back and forth. We just got a date solidified, so that'll be
Okay.
good.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Zach, which Balin?
Oh, from
Or
Extreme.
Oh, Zach Wasika, yeah.
Yeah,
Zach, man, Zach's got a crazy story, dude. You got it, for real. He's got a that they. I wish they do a documentary on that place, man, because
yeah,
the stuff that those walls could tell stories, dude. It'd be epic. It would
that's
be
awesome.
epic.
So just to give you a little bit, well, actually, let's get into you first, and then I'll tell you a little bit about me. But Do you remember the first time you picked up a bow, and how did that transition into like bow hunting and target archery for you?
Yeah, one of the first things the earliest recollection of memory was in second grade. We had this project, and it was about Thanksgiving. You could bring or create anything, from that time period. And I was like, oh, a bow and arrow. So I remember my dad helped me, create a bow, and we did it we whittled down from a lot, like a little branch, we whittled out like a little riser. And we had this orange string. I can't remember what kind of string it was, but it was like stranded, like a bowstring would be stranded. It wasn't one piece of string, but it was hundreds of, or dozens of little strings, strung together. And then we had electrical tape to kind of bind everything together. That's my earliest memory of like really kind of playing with a bow, like shooting it and like actually having fun with it. And then there were other times when I was younger. I had the suction cup bow. I remember that. I've got pictures of that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
like when I really got into it was sixth grade. There was a teacher named Earl Futrell. He was my math teacher and science teacher in sixth grade, and we had this period called enrichment, and enrichment was nothing but the last, I believe, it was hour and 30 minutes of the day, studying or perfecting a craft that you were interested in. It could be for anything from like being in PE for longer, or studying music or something, or watching movies, like being a movie critic, or art, whatever. There was like a giant list to choose from. You selected 3 or 5 of them, and you were guaranteed top 5 or whatever. And I remember my top 5 were like PE, like movie watching, and archery was on there, or like archery was on the list to select from, but I didn't know what it was. And when he had these bows wielding, these Genesis bows, it sucked the air out of the room. I remember everyone was like, "What is that?" And we're sixth grade kids, and if you could suck the air out of a room in a classroom or that, something's got your attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately went to like the counselor and was like, "Can I get my thing changed into this? Like this is what I want.
I want that. I want that."
And I thought we were just going to be ripping bows back and shooting them the next day. And no, it was I found out we had to learn all the parts of the arrows, the cresting, the shaft, the point, vanes, fletching, knock, all that good stuff. Had to learn everything about the bow: riser, strings, cables, cams, limbs, all that stuff, cable guard. And then we had to learn whistle commands and stuff. When we were quizzed on, we actually had tests that we had to pass in order to shoot. And I believe everybody passed on the first time. So then we started going out there and shooting, and everyone's carrying their little bow. And I think there might be like 15 bows and 20 people in the class. So, we were swapping out stuff, bows and everything like that, giving other people a chance. But I remember I couldn't even pull back 20 pounds, and that's what most of them were set on, I think. Dude, that was discouraging. So I was like, we're going to start doing push-ups. But that's like the first time I really shot like a actual real bow, a manufactured bow. Was a Genesis bow, and, with Genesis arrows and stuff. So
nice. Yeah, I got into it on a family trip. We were at like an outdoor kind of resort, and they had all bunches of different kinds of sports, and they had archery behind the gym after lunch, and
nice.
They had like those fiberglass, like $30 fiberglass bows, and like some of the arrows are missing fletchings.
Just splintering every now and then.
Yeah, we're just shooting into like hay bales that had the paper targets on them until they just got destroyed and flew away in the wind, and that kind of just got me hooked. And then one year at high school, they announced they were doing an archery team. They were bringing in an outside coach, and we shot like recurves. And he was all obsessed with us kissing the string. We had to kiss the string.
Yeah.
Right? It had to come up under your face, kiss the string, right? And then if you missed the target or didn't get it in the middle, you got to do 10 push-ups before you go get your arrow. He was a rough dude. So we weren't very good. So we did a lot of push-ups, and I think we went to one tournament, and I think I got kicked out after the first round. But it was like, I loved it, right?
Oh yeah.
And then I kind of got away from it, and in my 30s, a friend of mine who I was on the team with, he calls me up. He's like, "Oh, I just got back from Bass Pro. I bought this thing called a compound bow. It's way better than the stuff we were using on the archery team. You got to go buy one, And he brought it over to the house, and I'm left eye dominant. I'm right-handed, but I'm left eye dominant, so I shoot left. Okay. And he was right. He's like, "Just shoot it." And I'm like, "I'm gonna miss the target." He's like, "Just shoot it. It's fun." And I shot it, and all of his expensive aluminum arrows just went into the cornfield.
Thanks for the business.
That's right. There you go. Yeah. I was looking out for Easton from the very beginning. So then I a few years later, I got one of my own, and it's just been, that's it, hooked ever
That's
since.
legit, man. That's legit. No, that's a good time. What let me ask you, when did you buy your own bow? How long have you been like shooting now?
Since 2019.
Nice. Oh, so you grew from, yeah, that was the period I felt like, because I actually got out of archery for a while. So I started in sixth grade like 2005, and up until like 2012, 2013, I kind of took a little hiatus while I was in school and stuff.
Yeah.
And I got back into it when I was like 2016, 2017 time frame is when I got back into it. And that's when the bow technology from like that point on, and the arrow stuff, like everything was kind of,
Oh
it
yeah.
really skyrocketed. The industry itself did. Overall, there was a lot of growth during that time. That's kind of when I found John Dudley. I didn't really know the guy, prior to, 2016, 2017, when he started doing knock on stuff. And I so I remember going back and buying a compound, because I had sold all my stuff from when I was in high school and everything. I remember going back in the store and buying a compound again. I bought a Bowtech Rain 7, and the only reason why I bought that bow is they had it on a discount, I believe, and it didn't really, no one really wanted to help me. They were just like, oh, this is a good one, kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. I shot a Destroyer 350 of Matthews, and everything else prior to that, I had a Z7 Extreme, had all the fun, had all the cool gadgets back in the day, and decked this thing out. And I remember pointing at a target at 20 yards, and I couldn't get my pin in the middle. And I'm like, what in the heck is this? And I didn't know what target panic was. And that's full blown. I had it when I got back into it. And I was like, huh, this is strange. So, and then that's what drove me down a rabbit hole and that's what kind of got me into target archery too. So,
Yeah, I started Googling bow hunting around 2015. And
yep.
I knew I was going to go deep into it, and I didn't want to buy like a $400 or $500 starter bow. I wanted a flagship one. My kids were young, and they were in all kinds of sports, and like my daughter was doing competitive cheerleading. My son was playing hockey. Like I didn't have $1,500 to spend on a bow, right? So, so eventually I did, and then 2019 I bought the Hoyt Helix Ultra. That was
there you go. I've got one at the house.
Yeah, unbelievable bow. It's like just so good. So a couple of years later, I'd been binge watching Solo Hunter. That was the first like hunting TV show that I ever saw. So Prime was like in my face, right? So a shop opened up not too far away that sold Prime. So I bought a Prime, shot that for a couple of years, shot Elite last year. So it's just been kind of like just playing the field, seeing what's out there.
Yeah.
But
no, I've played around with everything, man. I've shot everything, and kind of like I'm really liking the Hoyts, man, lately. Like I've got a couple Levitates, and that's like at the top of my list for one of my favorite bows ever. Favorite target bow, Concept X right now, like Concept.
Oh yeah.
X. Yep, I've got a Stratos too, and I love the Stratos. I think the Stratos aims a touch better for me than the Concept X, but the Concept X, the cam system's just sweet. It's just me kind of fine tuning, but I tell everybody to play around. Personally, I'm on the Hoyt side of things right now. I really love the stuff they've got going on. There's good people over there too. I like to support. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like when we went down to TAC, I literally had this Elite Ethos for like 3 weeks. And I go down there and I saw Evan Williams on the practice range. I heard his voice first, and I was like, oh my God, we listened to him on a podcast on the way down here. So I turned to the guys I'm with. I'm like, hey, Evan Williams is shooting next to Gary. They're like, what? No way. I'm like, yeah, that's him. So we start talking to him. And then I went over to the Hoyt booth, and now I hadn't shot. So because I'm left eye dominant and shoot left, none of the stores stock left-handed bows, right? So I literally have to pick up a right-handed one and be like, yep, sounds good, right? So that's basically my try before I buy. So to go down to TAC, and they're like, hey, come on over to the booth. Hoyt's there. They're like,
yeah,
do you want to try one? I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm left-handed, right? And he's like, that's okay. So they pull out the Alpha X and the RX8 Ultra. They set it all up 30 inches for me, whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I shot them both, and I swear, if like close my eyes, I couldn't tell the difference. They were so smooth, so different from what I was used to, right?
Yeah, a lot of them now are very neck and neck, and it's cool to see all the stuff that all these companies are coming together with and working on. And I mean, buying a bow nowadays is tough. You know, it's very tough for a lot
Yeah.
of people. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're just, this year they added all that improvement to the cam, giving you the
They
different
did.
back walls to
Who went
shoot
above
from.
and beyond? Yeah, this year, they're crushing. I'm sure this year. I mean, they're absolutely crushing it. And the brand, the power that they've got, backing them. I mean, with John coming back on board with them and stuff like that, and you got heavy hitters like Cam and multiple other people that are rocking their equipment. And I mean,
Mhm.
even look at the success of the target systems that they're utilizing now. I mean, Hoyt's got a runaway train. They're crushing.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. So when I started looking at arrows, I was listening a lot to Aaron Snyder and to Dudley.
Yep.
And first one I bought was the Axis, right?
Tried and true, man. That is the If you give me one arrow to play with on the planet and go hunt anything in the world, that's the one I'm choosing.
Right. So I shot these for like 4 or 5 years straight. And then loved every minute of it. They did great. Shot my first bear with it. Absolutely love it. Then you had to come out with the Sonics, and I fell in love again. Right? So
Sonics are kind of like my tack arrow.
Yeah, a lot of people say that, right? They're great for tack. I love how the insert just butts right up against the end of it.
Yep.
Such a good arrow. And then I was going to go back and buy more of the Sonics, and they were sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
So I picked up the 6.5.
Another great arrow.
Yeah,
it's made on the same machines as the Sonic and the Axis, for a lot of people that might not know that.
There you go. So I shot this last year. I shot it at 3D tournaments and hunting. Love that arrow too. So then I was like, okay, I think I'm going to go back to the Sonics because I love them so much. And then I saw experimental stickers on Joe and Stu's arrows. And I was like, what is that? Right. So
that was the buzz of the town, dude. I was so excited that I got the green light to do that. And we had the silk screen here actually for it years ago. And my boss Gary did it for like the first deep six arrow that we ever made. It was experimental. And it's just kind of one of those things like, hey, let's do this. Do we have some kind of silk screen that we can put on there and, start some buzz and chatter about what it might be? And it was mission accomplished with those two involved. So it was good.
Yeah, because I was messaging that. I knew nobody was going to tell me, but I was messaging them like, "What is that? I know you can't tell me."
They were sworn to secrecy. I had NDAs left and right.
Oh, I know you did, and I wasn't. For the record, I wasn't. I wasn't.
I'm glad they didn't tell anybody.
They didn't tell anybody, and I wasn't pressing. I was just like, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I can't wait to find out. And then I thought to myself, what is it? What are they going to do to the lineup? What is it? And I thought, well, the Axis has been around for a long time. 2 decades. There you go. Maybe it's another 5mm. And sure enough,
that was the little hole we had in our lineup. That was the piece that we needed to make good. The 5.0s. What do you think about them? First impressions.
I'm used to the 6.0 and the 6.5. They look so small, but they're awesome. Like I'm going to be building them this weekend actually.
Walk me through your build. How are you going to build them up?
Well, I picked up the 55 grain half oats.
Oh, match grade. Nice.
So, and I've got a custom wrap that I got done up with my logo on it. And then
who does your wraps?
Here, PCA, Perth County Archery. They're a company up in Ontario here.
Nice. So, logo. There you go.
Yeah, they look pretty sick. These look like this.
Oh, that is cool. That's a good looking wrap. What color vein are you rocking on that thing? What vein are you rocking actually?
I use the Max Stealth.
Max Stealth, good vein, very good vein.
I can't seem to get away from them. I know there's tons out there, but they've always worked, right?
Yep. Nope. I've got a pile of them, dude. I play around so much with veins, it's disgusting. My house, oh my gosh, it would blow people away for people to know what kind of the archery den I've got with just veins and knocks to play with and arrows. I've collected through the years. I mean,
that's awesome. And then of course I've got the match grade points to go with it.
Oh yeah, That's the thing to top it off right there.
So they're going to be awesome. I'm really excited.
Have you figured out your overall arrow weight, what it's going to be, and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm aiming towards like 485. That's usually my
Whoa.
sweet spot.
There you
And
go.
then I throw in a lighted knock, and it usually bumps it to about 500 or so, and that's my hunting arrow setup.
Nice. What spine did you get by chance?
I got the 250s.
250s. Oh yeah. You'll be close to that for sure.
Yeah, I like a little bit. It's 30-inch draw. I'm usually, at least this is 75 pounds. I think.
Oh yeah, you got the monkey arms, bro. I'm over here. I got T-Rex arms. I got a 27-inch draw on a good day. Got a 26-inch shaft.
If I really stretch it out.
Yeah, I don't use a lot of carbon when I'm shooting in the air. I don't have a lot of surface area doing my stuff around.
Yeah, so it's they work well for me. So, and that usually sits me around 285-ish, I guess. So
there you go. Yeah, that's a good, especially for a fixed blade. That's a good feet per second. But yeah, it's controllable. Yep, controllable.
So where'd the idea come from for these, if you can tell me?
Dude, whenever we were talking about that shaft, honestly, it's been in development for, I want to say, around a decade. That arrow has. It's kind of been one of those things where we had other things come up. We had to put it on the back burner, I believe. And it was not like we were never not cooking it. It's when are we going to release this? When's the right time to come bring this to market? And honestly, last year we were thinking about doing FMJ Max, alongside Parallel Pro. And it's one of those things, we're like, let's wait on it. Let's have a 5mm campaign. And, FMJ Max was already perfected. 5.0 was literally just about to be done and perfected. And all we were doing is we were building inventory, stock-wise building it, because we make everything pretty much here in Salt Lake City. A couple target shafts that aren't made here, like in the Super Drive lineup, but everything X10, everything Axis, FMJ Sonic, 6.5, everything aluminum. Everything Avance, all of those arrows are made in-house, so, but it's just kind of one of those things where timing's everything on these kinds of launches. And I think we did it perfectly with FMJ Max alongside, the company, we did it perfectly as a company with FMJ Max, with 5.0 match grade components, the 5mm match grade components. It worked out how it was supposed to, but.
Yeah, I think you made a lot of FMJ fans really, really happy.
We did. Honestly, man, I'm thinking about running that arrow. I probably will run that arrow. Just if people knew much about how well constructed FMJ was, a lot more people would shoot it. And there's been a negative connotation about FMJ, and honestly, I feel like it's brought more upon by our competition than most actual users and people that have experienced that shaft. But they only bend if you don't hit a target. If you hit rocks and trees and stuff you're not supposed to hit with an arrow, they probably will bend, and they'll only bend compared to where a carbon arrow will break, on average. So
right.
Yep. And the other thing is, whenever you're playing around with those two materials, aluminum and carbon, the wonderful thing about it from a manufacturing standpoint is it is very consistent constantly. There's not much deviation, much at all, from any of it. So we're able to keep a super straight arrow, with that aluminum jacket, and also maintain the weight, a little bit heavier of an arrow. The carbon, we're just taking the benefits of carbon being lightweight and very strong. When you fuse the benefits of being super straight and consistent with aluminum, you got a really sick arrow, and that new FMJ Max coming in around that Axis weight, it's easy to pull out of a target. It's actually a slightly lighter than an Axis arrow in some spines. So that might be my new toy to play with this year.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I had John Mulligan on here, Johnny Utah, and he was
good, folks. Yep.
They increased my arrow speed by like 30 feet per second. Yeah, he's a happy camper, that guy.
Oh yeah, no, it's a good looking arrow too, man. That arrow's got sex appeal. It looks good in the storefront. I mean, it's here. I got one for the users that might not have seen it. I got like a bunch of sample arrows up here, but let's see. I mean, I probably got too much light going on here, but I mean, it looks good. Good looking OD green diamond plate on there. Got some red accents, so it's sweet.
Very, very nice. Can you talk about the carbon process, because it's a little different than what it
Yes.
used to be?
Yeah.
The AccuCarbon.
Yeah, AccuCarbon. That's a really good question. Imagine my fingers are carbon spindle fibers, and all they're doing is they're coming together in unison through a single die and a single mandrel. And what we're able to do with that is replicate and repeat consistent spine, consistent outside diameter, consistent inside diameter, consistent weight, and consistent spine around shaft. That's very important. And it's very hard to do with other processes. The other process that, a lot of other manufacturers make, and we even do this process on some of our arrows, but the way we're able to do this process, it's very secretive. I can't really give out that much of it, but
Yep.
from the audits and stuff that we've seen, like a wrap and roll. Imagine you're wrapping like a taco or a telescope, and all you're doing is I'm taking this piece of paper and I'm wrapping it around a mandrel, and it comes out, like this. And this is your arrow, and you've got a seam on the inside right there, and you got a seam on the outside, and you can see how they don't always line up.
Right.
And that can create some spine consistency issues, as far as from arrow to arrow and around the shaft. So that's why, some companies might, tell you where the stiff side of the arrow's at, or, some companies won't tell you anything like that. And then the other part of it is that way of making arrows, you can get really consistent weight, because most companies are just shaving down that seam. Again, whenever you're making that, you got to get rid of that seam. The only way to get it off is to grind it down. So you've got to take that seam right here and grind it off. And anytime you take anything away from something, you're going to lose a variable somewhere. You're either going to lose weight, you're going to lose inside or outside diameter, you're going to lose spine around shaft consistency, and spine from arrow to arrow consistency.
Absolutely.
And most people choose to grind a weight, most companies. And if I was a company using a wrap and roll process, I'd probably grind a weight too, just because everyone at home's got a scale they can put an arrow on. And that's a metric that's quantitative for people. Oh, my arrows are all within 1/10 of a grain. That means these are really accurate, and this is quality. Well, we're kind of taking it a step further with that AccuCarbon process, and even our X10 process. Those are the two methods that we use here to build arrows. And the X10 process, that's way above my head and above my pay grade, honestly. I don't. When I walk into the X10 room, everybody stops working. Like, it's one of those things. You're not finding out what's going on.
Stop.
Yep. I mean, it's everybody, all eyes look at you, and they like, okay, you're good. Okay, we'll go back to work. But
just gotta keep that shirt on.
Yeah, keep the shirt on, bring a badge, do whatever. We don't give tours in the X10 room either. It is a lot like $40 in that deal. But that's where the magic happens. That's the room that's harnessed every Olympic medal ever. All the arrows have been built in that room. So really cool to see that.
Yeah, X10s are the most winning piece of sporting equipment in Olympic history.
In the world, yeah.
In the world. Who can say that? Only you guys.
It's crazy because, the most winning Olympic piece of sporting equipment in the world is wild. And that's kind of a testament to, the vision that the people here at Easton have created. It started, with Doug Easton, then transferred to Jim Easton and Greg Easton and everybody else, following suit, underneath those guys, and all the engineers that have created that stuff and had the vision for it to make it. George Tepnikoff, one of the brains, many brains involved in that deal. And he's still with us, today. He's a good friend of Easton, and, he's technically an employee of Easton still. So, but, he was one of the brainchilds of that. That was one of his brainchilds, along with many other engineers at the time. And that was brought in 1995. But kind of switching back to AccuCarbon. Sorry, I can get off on a tangent real quick.
That's okay. So can I.
We're taking those fibers and we're bringing them together through one single die and one mandrel. So they're all coming together in unison. And they're equal. There's equilibrium through that entire shaft. So no matter where you turn that shaft, no matter where I turn, this is a 400. No matter where I flex it, if I put it on a spine indexer, it's going to hit 400, on a lot of those quadrants. And the key with it not only hitting 400 is the outside diameter and the inside diameter doesn't change from year to year. The weight doesn't change from year to year. All of those key metrics that make the perfect arrow stay the same. They're identical sets year in, year out. Versus on a wrap and roll product, you're either going to chase spine, you're going to chase weight, or you're going to chase outside diameter. And you can get 2 of 3, but you're going to lose one somewhere. You're either going to lose the weight, you're going to lose the diameter, you're going to lose the spine value from arrow to arrow, or spine value altogether. There might be some variation. So let's say if you buy some 340s, you might find some 330s in some packs from competitors, from the testing I've done. I've done that testing at Extreme, a lot. And I don't sit in on the audits that we do and stuff. I let the engineers do that. That's not my breakfast to attend. But it's cool to see the stuff that it's cool to see my audit, Easton's audits, the stuff we audit ourselves. It's really cool to see the consistency whatever we bring to the table.
So has that always been the way it's been done, or the AccuCarbon start at a certain point?
It started, I believe, in 1997. It was a thing called PC. It started as PC, and then C2 was the name, and now it's AccuCarbon is the finalized, I believe, rendition of it. And we actually took that. It's some European technology we took from Beeman when we purchased Beeman back in the day, and we just made it better. We had some smart guys in here, and the process is strong and sharp, and it's really cool to see what we can get done. Imagine a 3,000-foot arrow that we're chopping at 31 inches.
Yeah,
that's essentially what AccuCarbon is.
And all consistent. Yeah, I was trying to tell people that animation that you see on the videos of it coming out, that's how it actually works.
Yep. That's how it works. That's how it works.
And for those that are curious, the carbon is from the U.S. You are also sourcing that from the.
We have manufactured. We actually have a source from Utah, about an hour and a half away from us. Washington, California, I believe Ohio, a couple other places in the U.S. I don't know exact locations, and I might be wrong on a state or two, but those are just some of the companies that I know of that we source carbon from. So,
do you feel like is it starting to feel like there's everybody and their brothers coming out with their own version of an arrow nowadays?
Well, it's easy. You call China and they can make you one. This is the big difference with Easton. Everything that comes out of our factory says Easton on it. No one else can say that.
Yeah.
They're shared labels. Yep. There's a couple of companies, I take that back. There's a couple of companies that have their own factories and stuff like that. And they make, there's a lot of good companies making good products out there. I just firmly believe that we make the best. And when you look at the scoreboard at the end of the day, that's my comparison.
Yeah. I've only ever shot Easton, and I don't see myself ever spinning away from that. I did some indoor last year, so I picked up some 27-12.
There you go. Look, hold on, let me grab. I got some 27-12s right here.
There we go.
Yeah.
So these are without the black. Is that to help? Is that just part of the paint, or is that to help pull them out?
Yeah, from the anodizing side point, it might catch you a line. The anodizing on the front of the arrow, masking it, camouflaging it to the line is the thing. But that arrow hasn't changed as far as the manufacturing process. GPIs are the same. 27 stands for 27/64. 12 stands for the 12th thou wall thickness, of the shaft itself. So same recipe, just a little different. Just a little facelift is what we do with that.
Yeah, they're awesome. Can you go into the difference between the X10s and the X10 Parallel Pro?
Oh yeah, no, I'd love to. So X10 brought to the market around, I believe it was 1995 is when we brought that arrow to the market, and it's a 3.2 internal diameter, so 3.2 millimeters internal diameter. Actually, I've got some. 1 second. Right. Let me grab one real quick. So this is the OG.
The winner.
That's the winner. This is the one that gets all the medals. OG X10. And it's tapered on both ends. And the design of this arrow was to create a better clearance around the shelf of the recurve and something that's going to fight wind drift, as far as from the Olympic circuit with a recurve. So we have a taper on this end where the knock would be, and it's tapered on this end where the point would be. And it's on the center. There's a bigger part of the shaft right here that's a little bit, bigger in the center, and that helps it give the spine and stuff like that. But it's aluminum on the inside, carbon on the outside. Years after that, I want to say it's around 2006, 2005, maybe 2007 timeframe, we came out with the Pro Tour. And the Pro Tour, got some of them too. Hold on 1 second.
Like a museum in your office. That's awesome.
Well, these are what I call my old crap arrows, and that's in case of emergencies for staff and stuff. But Pro Tour is single taper, so it stays, the back end stays, the same the same diameter all the way down until around this section, 7 or so inches in front of the point, and then it tapers down, to a smaller section of the shaft. But it's same 3.2 millimeter internal aluminum core, carbon on the outside, and like I mentioned earlier, playing with those two materials when they're fused together, you get a wicked arrow. I mean, you just get the best of everything with an AC product or an FMJ product, in my opinion.
So do you get a little bit more flex with the carbon on the outside compared to, say, like an FMJ that has the aluminum on the outside, or does that matter?
So with the X10 with this process, what we call the X10 process, this isn't an AccuCarbon arrow. These are X10 arrows, so they're made a little bit differently than an AccuCarbon. These fibers aren't coming together in unison.
Okay.
So there's a lot of magic in the manufacturing that we're able to do to these shafts to create the tolerances that are unmatched on today's market. We're seeing half grain weight tolerances in a dozen, year in, year out, no problem there. Spine consistency is unreal. It's untouchable, actually. Just with the audits that I've seen on our stuff. There's a multitude of spines because everyone's different on the recurve side of things, from shooting, a little amount of draw weight to a larger, much heavier amount of draw weight. Draw links are different. Clicker links, to pull past the clicker are different and stuff like that. But
right.
These arrows were built off of, the FIDA circuit, World Archery Circuit. That's where they were really tested. X10's really tested in the Olympics. Nearly every shooter shoots an X10. I think there was one shooter in Paris that wasn't shooting an X10, and he was kind of shown the door early. So that's where that ended up.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, yeah. Yeah, should have shot X10, might have made it a little bit further. No, I'm just kidding. But I believe that gym was actually sponsored by another arrow brand. So good for him for, trying to put their name on the map. That's a tough feat. And I think he made it into like the round of 16 or the round of 32 or something. I can't remember exactly in my memory. So, but
and don't be fooled, you can still hunt with these. Like I saw Dan Staten and even
we're gonna
Cam was shooting them too last year. Like,
So these are 3.2 millimeter internal diameters. The X10 Parallel Pro is a 4 millimeter.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Let me see if I've got.
And they're only a 4 mil, right?
Yeah, these are 4 millimeters. Let me see if I've got one. Actually, I do. So the X10 Parallel Pro is built off the same chassis. And what I mean by that is we're using the same core, from an X10, the same material of a core, I should say. It's the same grade, but we're choosing not to draw it down as much. So it's not 3.2 millimeters. Instead, it's 4 millimeters. And this is the difference you can kind of see in labeling. This one's got a bigger Easton logo on it. It'll say 4 millimeter or X10 Parallel Pro 4 millimeter. But this arrow goes through the same channel as the X10. It's from the manufacturing standpoint with all the checks and balances and everything, all the QC, it goes through the same process with that. The only thing we're not doing is we're not tapering the ends. So with the Pro Tour, we got a single taper, one taper on the Pro Tour. X10, we have 2 tapers, front and rear. This one there is no taper. And the cool thing about this shaft is being it's 4 millimeters, it will accept, components that allow you to hunt with this shaft. So you can actually screw a broadhead into a half out. With that, you can shoot a G knock. You don't have to worry about a pin knock or anything like that.
Right. That's good.
Yeah, and we're making it 15 spines. From a 2000, I believe. Let me see. I believe from an 1150, all the way to a 250 is what we're making this arrow in. So It's extremely versatile. You can be an Olympic recurve archer, pick this thing up and shoot it. A bare bow archer, shoot it. Compound archer, from the target side, shoot it. You could be a kid and shoot this arrow, or you can be a Dan Staten and a Cameron Haynes and take this thing into the Elkwoods and prove its success too. So
versatile,
very extremely versatile, man. And I've got some of these in my quiver, and they don't shoot groups with them. Like don't aim at the same spot. These arrows are definitely Ferraris, and it's kind of one of those things where when you're playing with them, you will break them if you decide to. That's just how consistent they are.
Yeah, give them their own circle to shoot at. Don't put them together.
Yes.
And then the super drives have really sparked my interest for like 3D, and they're super popular too. And they come in 3 different sizes, right?
Yeah, well, actually, we got four. We've got a 4 millimeter super drive called a Super Drive Micro. Great arrow. There's a gentleman, a good friend of Easton's, name's Chuck Cooley, super good dude. He's with Zeiss. He's known as the glass guy, is how I know Chuck. He knows all things. He's the authority on glass, is what I like to think of Chuck as. He rocks Super Drive Micros. They're great arrows. Katie Boardwell, she's from New York, stud archer, target archer killer. She rocks Super Drive Micros for some field stuff and fetus stuff and hunting, field hunter rounds. And then going up from there, so we got the 4 millimeter Super Drive Micro. We've got a Super Drive 23, 64, 7-inch diameter. We got a 25, 64, and 27, at 27 64. So
a little bit of everything for everybody.
Yeah, we're trying to cover our basis on that. And with the Super Drive 23, we got 3 spine offerings. We got a 475, 375, and a 325 for that. And 25s and 27s, just one spine, because 290 for a 25 and it's a 280, 270 for a 27. So.
And are you finding across the board is like 5 millimeter the sweet spot, or 4 millimeters more popular? Does it kind of go up and down?
I still think 5 millimeter, definitely right now, 5 millimeter is the hot diameter, is what I would say. But there are, and I do a little bit of the social media stuff, me and a couple other people here. And, when we'll do a little questionnaire, what area you're shooting, there's a lot of 4 mil axis and there's a lot of axis 5 millimeter, chatter on that. And there's a lot of people that are playing around, that are coming over on board to Easton now shooting the 5.0. And that arrow is, I think it was, we didn't really know how well, we knew it was going to be great, but I think dealers have, kind of blown us away with the orders that we've seen. So,
well, yeah, because I knew that we wouldn't get them up here for a bit. So I was looking at every kind of website. I was on Podium Archer. I was on Extreme Outfitter. Almost daily I was checking, and literally the first person to get them in stock, boom, I had to buy them. So Zach posted a picture at like 9 o'clock at night. He's like, we got an order of 5.0s, and I went right over the website and placed my order. I'm like,
thanks for the support, man. Yeah,
I have to get these as soon as I can. Well, I've used them in like, I don't know how many videos I have now. I think I'm getting close to 400 on my YouTube page, and every single video has got an Easton arrow in it from one of the ones I've showed you, because it's just I can't get away from them. They've just been the best for me. So
that's awesome.
Can you talk about the quality control process at all without giving secrets away?
It's super strict. Yeah, we try not to let anything bad out. That's the big thing. We vet everything. The unique thing here at Easton, man, is all of our engineers are in-house. 30 feet away, there's some of the most brilliant minds, I've ever had the pleasure to call friends and, coworkers, and, they help create this stuff. The 5.0 and FMJ Max, that was one of our engineers, Josh and Dylan, I believe. That was their, a lot of their, they had a lot to play in that field. You got Clint, he's our VP of quality and product. He is the brainstorm behind a lot of products, and Josh and Dylan just navigate the boat, to get them there. And Zach does the same thing. Zach does so much testing. He's our engineering product coordinator, and he does everything testing wise to make sure there's nothing crazy that's going to come on our radar from a failure standpoint. Shooting into some harsh, very harsh targets that aren't even for sale here in the USA. There's a lot of testing, those guys do. And then most of the guys, there's a gentleman named Mark. He's been here for decades. Like, I think Mark's been here over 40 years, 35, 40 years. And he knows what to look for, but that's kind of like our vetting. Like, there's a lot of steps into the vetting and making sure a product's good. We hunt with it before we release it.
Right. Yeah.
Killed an F with an FMJ Max, Dylan and Clint and multiple people. We go down and hunt hogs with them. There's a lot of vetting that's done with, products that released, even on the target side. People might not know it, but sometimes there's a target shaft in there that's labeled something, and, it might not truly be what it is. So, and that was decades ago, I believe, kind of ACE and X10, because there was some camouflaging going on there. So,
So getting back to the new components, can you talk about what the silicone ring is for?
It's fitment, man. We wanted to, it started out with the 4 millimeter match grade half out, and I'll tell you, so my first day here at Easton, Gary, my boss, he's our marketing director. Him and Clint, which is he's our VP of product quality, took me to lunch and just not really picked my brain, but just kind of wanted to see with a different set of eyes, because I'm coming fresh out of retail. I'm seeing everybody's, stuff, and, they're picking up on things. And I just told him flat out, I was like, man, we need a cool half out. We need a good one, one that is going to be on every Easton arrow, but also on other arrows that we don't make. People are going to want that component. And Clint's like, you're going to be impressed with what we got. And dude, I was blown away when Dylan, one of our engineers, made that 4 mil. Like, that was kind of his design and stuff. And that self-centering alignment ring is what it's called. It just helps the concentricity as it's going in the arrow. It mitigates any kind of wobble or any kind of, not flex, but it just kind of, it mainstreams everything. It makes sure everything's lined up the way it's supposed to, and eliminates that wobble that you might find in a half out. That's kind of what that self-centering alignment ring's for.
And then I think I was looking at this the other day, so the beginning of the half out protects the end of the arrow. So do you have, is it about half an inch here?
It's close. It's like 3/8. It's somewhere around there.
Yeah.
The way that half out is made is what's unique. So imagine I wish I had a cutaway. I don't have one on me, unfortunately. Let me see. I might have one actually. I might have one. Hold on. I might not. Actually, I don't. The way that thing was designed, you have the sleeve that protects the post that's going inside the arrow, and it serves a dual purpose, protecting the post and protecting the shaft. We're protecting the post from any kind of bend or wobble or any kind of run out that might occur, and then we're protecting the shaft from any kind of blowout. That's where the hot spot is. So Dylan figured out where the hot spot is, where we needed protection, where the post needed protection, where the arrow needed protection, and it's just incredibly strong. Like I said, he's a smart dude. He knows what he's doing when it comes to designing stuff, and the half out has been a huge success. We only offered it in the 5 mil for only two different weights, 55 and 75. That's the most common that everybody's running up from, a 5 mil. For sure. On a 4 mil, you can go a little bit crazy, with 100 and a 150 like we did, and even those, the traditional community loves them. The 100 grain. I run 100 grain titanium on the front. Good luck breaking that thing. You're not going to do it. I've already put some through 2x4s by mistake, and the half out survives. So
it's funny you say that, because Joe's already said this he was on the podcast already, so I can say it again because he brought it up. But he says, I may or may not have missed the target and maybe hit a tree, and it bounced back, and I thought it was going to be broken. It was perfectly fine. I spun it and I put it back in my quiver.
Yep.
So sorry, Joe, but that helps. Right?
Yep.
So
Nope, it does.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then you've got a new knock.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things, just a little facelift. I love the X knock personally. That knock's a little bit, it's from an engineering standpoint, it's supposed to be a little bit more accurate. The throat of it's closer to the shaft, so we're getting, we're cutting down on what is it called, a fulcrum or a lever, I want to say. Sorry, I got to wet my whistle here, so I'm pouring a can of old, this is Old Trusty's, what I call it, Old Liquid Death.
There you go.
Obituary. You ever had any of those?
I haven't, but I'll have to try some.
Nope, don't start. You'll be addicted. Fair warning. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
But yeah, the going back to, like I said, the half outs are just super stout, and they're just strong, man. They did a good job. Engineering crushed it and knocked it out of the park.
And then the half out compared to the brass and the
collar
and the collar, is it just personal preference, or what's the?
There is a strength difference in that. A hit insert with a collar is unbeatable compared to half out. Any half out on the market. And what you're doing is you're reinforcing the front end with the hit insert. There's not anything that can bend or cause a blowout, because it's literally inside the arrow itself. And then when you put the collar on top of that, you just made a strong shaft. I mean, it is incredibly strong with that. I don't know the numbers or anything like that, any kind of scores or anything, but just from the physics standpoint of it, talking with engineers, that is the strongest method, and that's why that's included with the match grade arrows. So if you, for anyone that doesn't know, we have a standard series and we have a match grade series, and match grade we kind of go above and beyond with that. If you're going to spend a little bit more money to get match grade, we're going to make it worth it. There you go, match grade. There's our band on there. Looks super cool. But that arrow was actually checked in 5 places for straightness. So we're not just checking, a span of an arrow. We're checking it in 5 places. So we're checking it in the center. We're checking it on the quarter notes, and we're checking it on the ends for any kind of knock wobble or run out or end wobble or anything like that. So we're checking 5 locations for, for 0.001 or better. They're all, within a grain, a dozen, and that's year in, year out. So if you buy some 340s today, 3 years from now, you buy some more 345Os, they're going to weigh virtually identical.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the spine consistency is going to be in there. And that's the active carbon side of things, like we talked about earlier. But
that's incredible.
Yeah. And if you buy fletched, you get this. You get an AE hybrid right helical fletch configuration, single color. If you get bare shafts, you save a little money going the bare shaft side. Some people like to build their own arrows. But with the component side, with this, you get a hit insert, so standard 16 grain hit, and then a collar. And the collar weighs anywhere from 13 to 20 grains, depending on the spine. And if you go standard, nothing wrong with standard arrows, too. We're checking them in 3 places, centers and on the ends for end wobble. But it comes with either a hit insert or it comes with a new stainless steel half out that we have. I think it's 55 grains, the stainless steel half out. Let me see if I have any. I might. Yeah, so the stainless steel half out, here's a good. So that's kind of what it looks like. It flares up, lines up with a broadhead good, just a static half out, no protection over the shaft, but still a good value in my book for, a standard arrow. So
yeah, and I've bought the 003s and the match grades, and really they all shoot incredible. You can't, it's not like you have 3 in a batch that are definitely different. I urge you to try to tell, because it can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're so well put together, and now knowing how this carbon works, it's
that's kudos to engineering, man. Kudos to engineering, QC, and the hands that build those things.
Yeah.
All those guys.
Did you
I get telling the story about them? So
what's that?
I said I get the easy part with telling how it's done. Yeah,
yeah,
marketing it. So
nice. Did you get out at all to hunt at all last year?
Nah, man, not really. I was just I had a lot going on life events wise. I got married and stuff.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. What else were we doing? We were planning a wedding. We went home a couple times more than I believe we thought we were going to. Christmas, Thanksgiving, and stuff like that. I had a couple different vacations and stuff. We had this big product launch, which I knew we were doing, like March and April time frame of last year. A little over almost a year ago. Just events. I'm really just trying to get my feet wet out here. But I'm going to do some hunting this year. Kind of build some vacation time. So
nice.
We're excited to do that. I'm going to do some whitetail hunting back home and do some elk hunting out here. So
you hinted at it already. What would be your arrow setup? I know you can go through different ones, but what do you think?
Got a bunch of them. All right, I'm gonna. So number one,
hit me.
Tried and true is Axis for me. I love the 5mm Axis. It hits the weight I like. I love the component option I have with it, and it's just an arrow that it's got such a pedigree on it.
Just want to take a quick break to talk to you about a couple of things that I've been using that I think might benefit you. One is this Numa Outdoors gear. This is in their Kaza OV pattern, which is great whitetail pattern when you're up in a tree in the fall and late season. They also have a Kaza pattern which has more green in it, which is good for spring through to the fall. Numa has given me a code to give to you of Caribou Media 20, which will save you 20% at checkout. Another product here that I've been using for years now is the Bulldog targets. This is a Canadian made target. They're made in Manitoba. They have a lifetime warranty. I've used that warranty twice now on a couple of my larger targets that are outside. It's very simple, very easy. These targets are 2-finger removal every single time, which is incredible. Field point only target. Bulldog's been gracious enough to give me a 20% discount code to give to you at checkout. Use code BD20-Caribou-Media. That'll save you 20% on these awesome targets. Now back to the show.
But Axis is it's always been my tried and true, man. it's just the arrow one for everything. I already know how I already know how the build's gonna go. I have never had an issue tuning it. I've never had an issue tuning any Easton arrow, but I know the build on an axis so well. For me, it's second. I can do it blindfolded. The second arrow I'm a really big fan of. They're tip for tat. I really like the 4mm axis and the X10 Parallel Pro, and that's for like a super windy situation. And if you need to thread the needle kind of thing, but if I had one arrow to do it all with, axis is there. And I love the X10 from a precision standpoint. It's super hard to beat. I mean, I feel like it's just a little bit more forgiving of an arrow. The third, and this is, I shouldn't even say third. I mean, these are all arrows that I feel confident with putting in my quiver at any given moment, for anything. The Sonic. The Sonic kind of blew me away testing wise.
Oh yeah.
And I was just getting ready for tack. Just had some arrows, some arrows laying in the office, and I was like, I'll build these up and see how they do. And I threw 75 grains of brass in them, 125 grain heads. I had 200 grains up front. They were like 420, with a 340. What I was shooting at like 70 pounds, and they were flying really well. They were shooting pretty quick out of the bow for the amount of weight I had up front. And I think there's something to do with a little bit of forgiveness when it comes to the diameter size of an arrow. And I'm not smart enough to tell you why or anything. I just feel like my groups, and it's probably because the diameter is bigger. I'm hitting, if I'm shooting a group, I'm smacking more arrows. You're probably hearing that sound, making some, affirmations for yourself. But
heard that before.
I just think it's a forgiving arrow, man. It's something to do with, I think there's a happy medium between a 5 and a 6 mil arrow. That's a lot more forgiving for most people, than a 4 mil.
And so well priced too, right? Especially for people getting into archery. It's a great all around arrow for sure.
And it's made on the same machines, like I said, Axis and FMJ 6.5 are made on of, 5.0 even. 5.0 is made on the same machines. And I've got a set of 5.0s built up, and they pound as well. Like I actually was able to go down in spine. So I can shoot a 400 at like 27 inches with 213 grains up front. And out of a 72-pound bow, I have a 50-yard bear shaft that stacks in with other arrows. And it makes no sense, why a 400 spine, because in the book it'll tell you it's weak, but that's just kind of what that bow likes.
Nice. And are you a fixed blade or mechanical guy, or do you go back and forth?
I've played around with both, man. Like I've killed some deer with rages. Seen some mean blood trails with mega meats and and dead meats and stuff. The new Sevr hybrid, the hat you got on, that's a wicked head, man. That is a wicked head.
I got to test the whole lineup, and I did a mechanical video, used ballistics gel, and was just blown away.
Sevr's a hot brand right now, man. That's what's in my quiver. So
yeah, I had to stop, take pictures, and send them to Casey over there and be like, holy crap, dude.
Yep, they're wicked, man. And there's a bunch of good broadheads on the market. The broadhead world's wild, dude.
Wild.
There's so much good stuff out there. What else I've got some fixed blade stuff too I play around with. There was a company, America's Best Bowstrings, bought them out. It's called the Helix Broadhead. From a fixed blade standpoint, that thing is mean. It flies so good. It's a single bevel broadhead. It creates some wicked wound channels. I put some guys back on some of those when I was working back at Extreme, and a couple guys went on elk hunts and killed with them, and recovered elk, so
that's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, broadhead side, I like mechanicals, less tuning involved, and screw it on there, point it, and make a good shot. So
that's awesome.
Yep.
Is there anything else we didn't cover that you wanted to make sure we hit on?
What do you got hunt line wised up? What are you hunting this year?
Hunting this year, it'll be turkey and black bear in the spring.
There you go. Okay, heck yeah. There's some good friends of mine up there in Canada that have a really wicked, black bear operation. John and Jen Rivet.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, they've killed some brutes out of there, and they got some very high-end clientele as well. But man, forget the clientele; they're just good folks. Man, I'll give them a shout out. Shameless plug any day of the week. John and Jen Rivet, Rivet Outfitters. I can't remember exactly what their name is, but look up John and Jen Rivet for anyone listening. They do a good bear hunt at a good price.
Huge bears over there. Huge bears.
Yes.
Yeah.
They got a lot of land to track them with too. So.
Yeah. We don't have a very big elk herd out here, but I still apply every year. But
there you go.
If you get one, you'll probably not get another one, kind of thing.
Oh, once in a lifetime. Yep.
Once in a lifetime. So and then moose, we have a draw as well. But I applied for elk in Pennsylvania. So we'll see how that goes. And then we've got fall black bear. So we're doing spring and fall, and then whitetail. So
nice.
Full slate. Yeah.
What's your arrow choice on all of that stuff? From our lineup. What are you running on them?
Well, it'll be the 5.0s now.
5.0s.
Give those a run for their money and see how everything works out. Yeah,
that's legit.
But I'm open to try. That's the thing. Like everyone I pick up, I'm like blown away with. It's like
Nope, I get it, man. I get it.
So
what got you started into the whole media side? Doing the podcast stuff. I always like to ask people that.
Yeah.
What got you into it?
So when I started into hunting, my wife's cousin had a 300 acres up north. So he said, "You want to learn how to hunt? Come up with me." So I go up to the camp. I bought a rifle. I go up to the camp. I'm sitting in the tree stand, and I loved being out there, but I didn't have the connection to the gun for the purpose that I was out there for. Not that I don't like guns. I have rifles. Like I shoot rifles. All good.
It's a little bit more intimate with a bow. That's what I like to tell people.
So it wasn't until the following year when I purchased the Hoyt, and then I went up there and I was like, okay, now this makes sense, right? And then I shot my first bear. He came walking in, and it was a crazy setup because it was only an hour. Like I was in the stand for an hour, and he walked in, and he kind of stopped, and he stood up, and he had his nose in the air, and I knew he was getting my wind. And then he turned around and dropped down and started to walk back the way he came. And I had a small window, and I shot, and I hit him, but it was a little bit high. He took off running, ran past the tree, snapped the arrow off. Anyway, we never found him. So first animal I ever shot, we never found. So I always wanted to have a camera. I wish I had a camera there to see the shot.
What happened? Yep.
So then I go home and I'm researching camera arms and stuff and on YouTube, and some guys doing one about the muddy tree arm. And I just thought, I think I want to try my own spin on that. So I started the whole review page that I have on YouTube. And then I always wanted to do a podcast, but I was so tied up with work and then doing the review side of it that it's I just didn't have the time. And then this year I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it because I want to
make it happen.
So I'm trying to do both. So
are you going to any events this year? Are you going to be you mentioned TAC. So
yeah, so I'll be down at the Pennsylvania TAC. I'm going to a couple of 3D tournaments up here, and I'm actually running one. I'm running a tournament with a couple other guys from the Full Draw podcast. We're friends up here, and
let's get involved. Let me send you some banners. We'll send you some prizes.
Well, I was just gonna say I'll talk to you about it off air, but I will mention it on here because we're doing actually 3 separate events at 3 separate clubs.
Oh,
and
nice.
all the money raised is going right back to the club because we want to help improve the archery ranges and get more people into the sport. So we're kind of setting it up like a regular 3D tournament, but we're stretching things out a little bit. Not quite the TAC distance. Well, we might have 1 or 2 targets that are farther, but it's going to be really cool. So it's going to be in the first date is actually going to be in May, and then July, and then September. So we kind of spaced it out.
Nice, super cool. Yeah, we'll figure out how to get a part of that, and
that'd be awesome.
How to help contribute to the cause for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. Last year, I think we raised $2,500 for the club that we were supporting. So it just made us want to do it even more, right?
Good. So, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. We're here at Easton, man. One of the culture things is this has been stemming for generations is giving back to archery and growing and advancing the legacy of archery. So.
Everybody should know where to find you, but can you let everybody know where to find Easton?
Yeah, eastonarchery.com. Don't worry about following me on my Instagram. You're not going to see really much of archery. I'm gonna start uploading some stuff for Vegas here soon, but
nice.
Follow our YouTube channel, Easton Archery. Follow Easton Archery on Instagram. Don't worry about my personal stuff. Don't worry about me personally. Follow the company.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks a lot for your time tonight. I appreciate it. You're welcome
sure.
back anytime.
Thank
And we'll talk to you soon.
Yep. We'll see you.